Hey everyone, this is the Dr. William Clark podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. William Clark. So excited to be with you back in the saddle today. I wanted to go off the beaten path for a moment. We've been focusing quite a bit on fundraising and grant writing, and that is not going to change. But I wanted to put my very specific leadership hat on for this podcast, and I wanted to quickly talk about how to build a team around your own leadership. And this topic is the topic that I think a lot of people try to process on their own without a coach and without mentors, as they try to think about how do I become the very best version of myself as a leader while leading, right? And this applies to fundraising, grant writing, revenue generation, sustainability, and all the topics that are relevant to building the financial capacity of your nonprofit all at the same time. And so I just want to walk through some thoughts I have about how to build a team around your leadership. Now, I think the beginning part of this conversation has to begin with the fact that you have to recognize your own leadership, right? You got to understand what leadership is, what it means, how it's defined, and then how you display leadership every day in your work and in your field of choice. Now, to help you, I want to help you with the definition of leadership. Leadership is simply defined as the ability to influence. That is your ability to get results through people, through a form of influence. And as you can imagine, this shows up in negative and positive ways. There are always negative characters of influence throughout history, and equally on the other side, there are positive characters of influence in history that define what leadership is. At its core, no matter how you fall on the moral spectrum and what your belief systems are about good and wrong, right and wrong, good versus evil, etc., the idea of leadership is centered around influence and the ability to influence masses, groups of people, organizations, teams, partners, stakeholders to affect change, to cause results in a specific way. That is leadership, and that applies in any arena, any industry, any work that you are engaged in. And so that matters quite a bit. As you work through your understanding of what leadership is, as I said, I think we need to recognize leadership can show up in any industry, any work, any profession, any organization, and it's vital for you to be able to understand that leadership has a place in every element of the work that you do. Leadership has a role to play in every work, every industry, every career profession. It has a role to play in all that is happening in your work, even in fundraising, grant writing, revenue generation, etc. So at the end of the day, it behooves all of us, no matter what we're doing, to become students of leadership, to master leadership, to embrace what leadership is, etc., and to understand the role that leadership must play in our work, the role that it must play in the steps we take to achieve goals that we have, etc. And so I wanted to talk about, right, how to build a team around your leadership. Now, your leadership has to be centered around the base core definition of what leadership is. And leadership, again, is the ability to influence. And without that, there is no conversation about how to build a team around your leadership, okay? You start with the idea that leadership is about influence. From there, you begin to work through what it means to identify how you yourself express influence in a variety of ways through your work. Influence comes through, obviously, if you have a leadership title and you are responsible for a team and outputs and results, etc. But the influence you wield, the influence you display, shows up in a number of basic areas, right? In the decisions you make, in the conversations you have, in the way you process information, etc. And then it shows up even more in how you give direction to your team and how you guide them from point A to point B. And people are looking to you to provide that stability, that normalcy of what should be done in a given moment. And for example, right, if you are fundraising for your organization and you're trying to raise $1 million, right? It's one thing to have like this goal of $1 million, but then you have to lead a team of fundraisers that may include grant writers, individual giving specialists, people who are selling products or services of the nonprofit, and event-based people who are all working together to yield a numeric result for their specific part of the project. And leading a group of diverse people requires you to understand all of their work. As you understand their work, then it enables you to figure out how to lead them, right? Again, leadership is about influence. The influence you have in each group, for each member of the team, for each element of the work, is specifically designed and in response to what people are responsible for. For example, the person who is responsible for events may be a creative type, and they are free thinking. They are inspired by images and color and the arts and things of that nature, so that they put on the best event possible, so that they can create an event, a gala, a fundraising event that is memorable, that will elicit response, that will cause emotion, that will tell an effective story by the way the floor plan is laid out, by the way the tabletops are designed, by just the ambiance of the experience. And because that person may have an artistic flow to their work, or they have an artistic presence about them, they may not be as business centric, right? And they may not be as cost prohibitive, or they may not protect the cost that or the budget. Let's just say that they may not be able to stick to the budget as you want them to. So your leadership says, all right, I got to figure out how to influence this person who is a creative type. My influence is not necessarily needed on the creative space, because this person I've hired is so amazing, so good, that my input is completely irrelevant. Okay? But because I understand that they have a significant creative bend to them, and not a fully useful, fully developed business side, my influence has to come in the form of a balance, right? A check, if you will. Okay. This person who's creative says, I want to do this for this event, and I want to do this and do this and do this and do this. You as a leader says, awesome. It looks beautiful. I love your idea. Tweak this a little bit, right? But outside of that, all right, so great. I love the idea. So how much does it cost? So this person says, I don't know, right? So you have those scenarios where you say, I don't know. All right, great. Then cool. I'm going to need you to take a moment and go price it out. All right, great. That person then comes back and they reiterate what they like about the idea. They reiterate what they love about what's going to happen at the event, etc. And you respond again and say, I agree with you. How much? Then they come back with a price that is well above the budget. Now, I have seen in so many cases where that person will advocate for going above the budget. They will advocate for spending beyond what's been allotted, because they think that, man, if we just spend $10,000 above this, or $20,000 or $50,000 above the budget, it will get more XYZ. You as the leader know good and well, more money spent may not elicit more money raised, right? It may not get you where you need to be financially. Your influence shows up in not quelling or hindering the creative space. In fact, your leadership says, be creative, be you, but I'm going to challenge you to be creative within the confines of this dollar amount. I'm going to challenge you to recreate various elements of what you think will be worth the money for less. I'm going to challenge you to decrease expenses in this area and increase in this area to still come out even with the budget I've set. The influential leader doesn't stop the skill and ability and the capacity of the person that they're leading, but they shape that person's skill set and capacity and they shape it and they direct it towards where it needs to be for the organization and team. If the budget for this event is 25,000 and we're trying to raise 100, you can't go over 25, not even by a dollar, not by a penny for that matter, right? So I'm gonna need you to dig deeper, be more creative than you're showing me, to show me how you can get that result for cheaper, because I cannot overspend. I'm already at my wit's end trying to sell tickets, trying to get sponsorships, trying to get other partners to invest, and their money cannot be spent on going over budget, right? We want to make sure we keep as much money as we raise, not spend more, no matter how beautiful the artistic expression could be. Maybe we can still have the artistic expression that you're talking about, but let's keep it within a limit. The influential leader doesn't seek to stop people, but the influential leader always seeks to guide people. The same scenario can be said for the person who is grant writing, where this person says, I'm at my capacity. I can't write more grants, and I can't do more, and I can't. A lot of the I can'ts show up as I don't have enough time, don't got enough information, don't got enough data, I'm too busy writing this, too busy creating that, too busy researching this. And the influential leader says, if you have a good grant writer, you're awesome at writing. You're amazing at writing. You are one of the best I've ever seen. And because of your writing, because of your ability to put information together and to yield this product that sounds like poetry to a funder, we've acquired and earned X number of dollars from grant resources. But the true leader, again, does not stop the art of the writer. Have you ever wondered how large nonprofits consistently generate millions of dollars? Have you ever wondered how to write the perfect grant, or how to successfully manage a grant, or even how to find money beyond grants? Hi, my name is Dr. William Clark. I'm the creator and instructor for Grant Writing 101 Masterclass. This masterclass is over 11 hours of training, and it comes with tools, tips, and tricks on how to generate significant money for your nonprofit. Some students have been fortunate enough to build six-figure programs, and others have been fortunate enough to triple their fundraising results. Whatever your goals are regarding your fundraising or your grant writing, the Grant Writing 101 Masterclass can help you achieve them. To register your seat, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com, and you'll be taken immediately into our student access portal, where you can access all of our trainings. You can take the trainings on demand at your pace at any time. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can even interact with other students and me all online from the comfort of your home or your office. If you want to secure your seat today, go to mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com. Again, it's mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com. I'm looking forward to learning with you and growing with you as you achieve the fundraising results you're looking for your nonprofit. But the true leader, again, does not stop the art of the writer. The true leader doesn't stand in the way of the grant writer doing what they do best. In fact, the leader, who is supposed to be influential, starts to help their grant writer who feels overwhelmed develop systems. Now, notice the difference between how I'm approaching the person who does events versus grant writing. Because systems are needed in both scenarios, but it's more so needed in this scenario that I'm talking about, right? Where the system of grant writing can be developed to the point that if we normalized the content of our work and the content of each program, that the majority of a standard grant application can be completed at the top of the year, and we can have a standard grant application that describes and defines our company and every single program we currently have and every program that is under development. If we have standard language at the beginning of the year, January 1, that defines and describes all that stuff, budgets, team members, positions, everything in place, then when a new grant application comes out, all we're doing is taking information from our standard grant application, our standard grant FAQ database, and putting it into a grant application and tweaking it according to the funder's specifications, which means that you're not writing a lot of original content anymore. The original content was drafted in November and December and was fully launched in January. So from January to December, you have your steady content for your company. This also requires the company to have, a standard strategy. So you're not writing stuff that's going to change on you, within the year. Again, if you have a grant writer who is just feeling like they're stuck, your leadership, your influence is not telling them to change how they write. It's not telling them to change the language that they write, because that's irrelevant. Obviously, what they write, it gets results. Your influence shows up in how can I create a system that can help you output more of the quality, more of the artistic expression, more of the poetry you write in rapid succession in a shorter amount of time without much editing, without much tweaking, that also passes the muster of your approval. And an FAQ database of standard grant questions about your company and your program can do just that. In both scenarios, you see a single leader who may be overseeing revenue generation for a nonprofit, or a CEO who's responsible for that, influencing in different ways because of the people that he has or she has and the role that they play. In the first scenario, you have somebody who's very artistic, overseeing events, and they're good at it. But they need influence around budget restraints, budget constraints. And maybe if you're a systems leader, you can develop a budgetary system for your events person so that they can plug it into the system and see the math real time so they can make adjustments to their art according to the numbers. Same thing with the grant writer, where you create a system that allows them to standardize content for the year, for the 12-month cycle, 24-month cycle if you can, and that can make them more efficient. Same thing if you have a person who's overseeing individual giving, a person who's overseeing just general fundraising, sponsorships, partnerships, etc. Again, you're looking at what people do well, and you're trying to influence the full scope of their work by specifically encouraging their skill set that does work and propping up and building up areas of weakness so that you can get the full capacity of who they are. And that is how influence kind of works, right? It's all about figuring out where you can add value as a leader. Idealistically, you are a leader is a person who has perspective, who has experience, who is looking at the big picture, who isn't bogged down in all the details. And you're able to see commonalities and trends amongst your people. You can see trends from history of you doing this. You can see what has worked, what doesn't work, and start to push certain buttons, right, for your team to kind of yield results, to yield outcomes that they may not have realized is possible, right? That is so key. That is so critical. That is so important for you as a leader to understand that you can influence change, effect change, and build change within your team. So it's about that. Now, a lot of this comes in a form of, okay, we're talking about building a team around your leadership. I'm going to assume in this scenario that every area of weakness that these people have on your team are areas you can support, right? So the scenario I gave you was all about, system support, strategy support, process support. You may be a process systems related oriented leader, but you're not the best at events. You're not the best at sales. You're not the best at individual giving. You're not the best at grant writing, but you may be proficient and competent in it, but you're not the best, right? The leader doesn't have to be the best in all categories. The leader may be the best at something totally different or something relevant. They try the best to position their team to be the best at things that they are okay at, right? But the idea at the end of the day, when you're trying to build a team around your leadership, is to identify what you're capable of doing as a leader, where you excel, where you are amazing, where you are the best at, and how you can bring that greatness to a team who may not be as good as you in your area, but they are better than you in areas you're not as good at, right? This is where you have very good CEOs, very good C-suite, senior staff, people, executives who are just aware of themselves, who are aware of who they are, who are aware of their many gifts, but their one main thing, right? I am an example of what it means to have many gifts, many abilities, many talents professionally, but there are just a few main things that I just love to do, really good at, do with my eyes closed, hands tied behind my back, blindfolded, and my feet shackled. And we all have that, but I think you become aware of that as your career matures, and you become aware of that as you mature as a person. That man, I'm really really good at this, and because I'm in the position as a leader, this is a very huge distinction, particularly if you're listening to me and you're not yet in a position of authority. When you get into authority, to build a team, to create a team of people to pursue a specific goal, it becomes important for you to be very self-aware and extremely emotionally intelligent. You who may be listening, who are in the front lines, maybe identifying with what I'm saying, but you don't have the power, you don't have the authority to kind of fall back. So you got to continue to build up your skills, build up multiple skills, learn other people's jobs, learn what it takes to do this and that and that and that. And you may find passion areas because you're trying and testing new things. You're becoming good at multiple things. You're becoming a Swiss Army knife. What I've come to value are people who are Swiss Army knives, right? And who from that point then mature to the point of saying, while I'm a Swiss Army knife and I'm good, there's this one thing out of my toolkit that I'm really, really, really good at. When that person becomes aware of that, you know that they are ready to transition from being a Swiss Army knife to being a leader, and that emerging process, right? And this is why years ago I started the Emerging Leaders Conference, which is now called the Changemakers Forum, that happens every spring in Hartford live, because it's about that transition. It's about that moment when you realize your potential is actually within grasp, that you're not crazy for wanting and wishing for something greater and more for yourself and the company that you're leading, creating, establishing, etc. And so building a team around your leadership becomes a game of time and maturity, right? Awareness of you and awareness of other people, and how to bridge that gap between both sets to then achieve a collective outcome, which, when we go back to the beginning of this podcast, it is all about influence to achieve a goal. That's it. Influencing yourself, self-leadership, influencing others, just regular leadership, to achieve a goal. Now, I can go all nerd on you and talk about various leadership styles and types, which are partly associated with your personality and your preferences and how you grew up and what you like and don't like, etc. That's all there, right? But at the end of the day, it becomes really, really, really important for you to just embrace who you are. And as you understand that, you can now fill the gaps of your weaknesses or your limitations, or you can fill the gaps where you know you're proficient, but there's somebody better than you to get the job done. I'm thankful for the various teams that I'm a part of, that I lead. I'm thankful for the people that are on my teams, because they play a vital role in helping me accomplish a goal that we've all bought into, right? And I work hard to support them, to invest in them, but to also give back the effort that they give me by coaching, by giving info, by giving guidance, by providing vision, by giving perspective, by sometimes jumping into the fray and helping with some of the things that need to get done in the mud and in the dirt, right? Leadership, man, influence shows up in so many ways, and I can talk deeply about it. But I'm really encouraging you all listening and watching, as you're fundraising, as you're positioning your nonprofit to advance, to generate revenue for the work you do that you believe in, that I know is important. You got to build teams around your leadership, and it has to make sense. I mean, it has to make sense. You can't just build teams for the sake of teams. It has to be the right people who are going to get it done. So this is the Dr. William Clark podcast. I really enjoy our time together as always. I'm your host, Dr. William Clark. We'll see you in the next show. Have you ever wondered how large nonprofits consistently generate millions of dollars? Have you ever wondered how to write the perfect grant, or how to successfully manage a grant, or even how to find money beyond grants? Hi, my name is Dr. William Clark. I'm the creator and instructor for Grant Writing 101 Masterclass. This masterclass is over 11 hours of training, and it comes with tools, tips, and tricks on how to generate significant money for your nonprofit. Some students have been fortunate enough to build six-figure programs, and others have been fortunate enough to triple their fundraising results. Whatever your goals are regarding your fundraising or your grant writing, the Grant Writing 101 Masterclass can help you achieve them. To register your seat, simply go to mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com, and you'll be taken immediately into our student access portal, where you can access all of our trainings. You can take the trainings on demand at your pace at any time. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can even interact with other students and me all online from the comfort of your home or your office. If you want to secure your seat today, go to mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com. Again, it's mysixfigurefunding.teachable.com. I'm looking forward to learning with you and growing with you as you achieve the fundraising results you're looking for your nonprofit.